Hello, hello. Welcome to today's episode. Yes, I usually say welcome to today's podcast, but I like changing things up. The way that I'm wired is I am wired to not stay in the same thing. I love trying out new things. Today, I want you to think of these episodes as a voice drop. It is a reclamation space that you are in, that you are listening to, that you're connected to, that you have been plugging into, and it is a voice drop. It's not a podcast. I don't even like that name. To me, it's a box. Something that I absolutely love about this podcast, about this platform, this stage that I have created is I am 23 points, downloads, listens away from the 900 mark. In 150 something days, I have increased this podcast platform has increased by a little over 350% in like 150 days. That is a big freaking deal. And so I celebrate that today. And I want to say thank you so much for choosing to listen to this platform. Thank you for gobbling it up. Thank you for choosing to not just keep scrolling, because this platform, when I set out to do this, I told God how it was going to go. And let me tell you, He has a different way of doing things, and His ways are always better than ours. So, plus, when we start out with something, if you're familiar with Proverbs in chapter 16, right? It's that we set out in our hearts what to do, but it's God that answers the tongue. Now, think about that. What words are you speaking, right? Also, He directs our steps. So go read Proverbs chapter 16, and then chapter 19 goes along with chapter 16. And so I'm a firm believer that when God gives us a dream, He will give us the capacity in order to keep going. I raise my so do you have your favorite drink with you today? I hope it's a good for you beverage, right? Not crap. Not those sugary, crappy energy drinks that they sell over the counter, or crap coffee from Starbucks. I mean, if you like Starbucks, go for it. But this isn't a bash, okay? When you start realizing that your capacity is involved with everything that you choose to do in your life, or everything that you're doing, you're going to start realizing that the stuff, I was going to say foods and stuff, nutrition, the things that you are allowing in your body will start changing. And as you are going on your journey and your capacity starts becoming more clear, you're also going to start realizing that it's essential. Nutrition has to be at the top. It's all part of the process. Now, something that I'm going to do as I'm talking is I am going to share a visual so that you can see. This is something that I created. It is a sticky note, and it is surrounding identity. Everything that we do in our lives, identity is the foundation. This is the core work that people hire me for, because in it is where they find out that they've lost themselves. And with the core work that people pay me for it as their professional hype girl is to find themselves again. Hands down, that's exactly what people are looking for, to find their energy, their voice, their confidence, and it gets reclaimed. What does that mean? Think about when you reclaim something, you're getting back the things that were stolen with gusto, right? With energy, with fire, with momentum, with boldness. I just finished my second cup of coffee today, so today is going to go really wonderful. Okay. So, in it, people set boundaries when they start going in line with their capacity and remembering who they are. This all goes in line. Identity is the foundation. How did I come to this conclusion? Well, if you've been following me for a long time, and if you even follow me on social media, you will know that my story of foster care and not knowing I was biracial is also the foundational method of why I do what I do. It's qualified me. I didn't need a degree for my life experiences. It is how I am able to, in say 60 seconds, within speaking with someone, I can immediately see where the burnout is, where they've lost themselves, where the ball of yarn sits. And then I hand them a mirror and I hand people back a blueprint. Not a physical blueprint because I can't hand stuff through a screen, but it's a roadmap back to themselves. It's where they've lost themselves. It's where the boundaries, the health, their confidence lies. It's where they left that. It's where they left their energy. It's also where they left their view of themselves. It's also where they left their voice. And it's where they stop seeing themselves as the hero and they line up with the victim, things that happen. And and it's where they, in the process of finding out their capacity and themselves again, it's where people start letting go of control and overwhelm and stress and the things that don't serve them, and they step into their empowered full self without fear and authenticity. And everything that they've lost comes back with like, we'll call it like they get an increase in their account. I'm not talking just a bank account. I'm talking about their bank of energy, their life. It's back to overflowing. They're happier again. The color returns on people's faces. I'm not kidding. Every person that has hired me, the faces are puffy, color has drained, they're exhausted. It's written all over their faces. And I'm like, I see it, I hear it. And we're going to hand you back a map so you can find you again. Now, here is the part about capacity that no one tells you. You're going to want to come back to this and you're going to want to take notes. I promise you, it will be a life-changing thing for you. You're going to want to share this. You're also going to want to re-listen to this episode multiple times, because when you first hear something, you're not going to hear it the same way each and every time. You're going to hear it differently. It's just how the brain works, how the mind works. So what you hear today is going to sound different in, say, a couple weeks or even a month from now. Come back and listen. Don't worry, this podcast will still be here. God has been expanding my dream to use my voice in a very powerful way, a very unconventional way, and it's how I operate. It's when people hire me, I create a voice-led container for them, and that is where transformation happens. Not with a PDF, not with a picture, not with how many books you're supposed to be reading. No. Voice-led spaces. That's where the transformation lies. So, the capacity. Yes. The capacity in which you operate in every single day is your level of where things stop. But here's the problem with capacity and energy. Many folks, and if you're anything like me who's a high performer, okay, loves doing, challenging, but also if you have been stuck in I don't want to say stuck because we're not a tree, we're not a cactus. If you have been caught up with the proving and performing energy, then you will know that that you are who I'm talking to today as well. Many times we force ourselves to do things beyond our capacity. This is where we get overwhelmed, overloaded, too much input, too much doing, too much overgiving, over-delivering, under-promising, too much energy depriving activities, right? all because we don't know when to set the boundary of a hard cutoff of the capacity that we're done. One of the top things I see high performers also having a really hard time with is not showing up when they're not well. I'm going to say something that might activate you and trigger you, so put your hand on your heart. If you are sick, it is unprofessional and it is not courteous to show up around your coworkers when you are ill. Stay home. Get a doctor's note. I don't care if you don't have sick time. Your health matters. Your energy matters. It also matters that you respect your coworkers and people around you. Okay? Don't stop showing up to work sick. Stop pushing yourself beyond your capacity. Rest is a superpower. I know those are fighting words right there, but you know what? Don't fight me because your inner critic just came out, right? Right? And it's like, what you talking about, Willis? You want to go, bro? You telling me I can't show up? No, I'm not saying that. What I am telling you is that your capacity is an indicator of your measuring stick, of your meter. And every single day, you have a capacity button that you've got to have boundaries. This is where it's a beautiful thing to have boundaries. This is where boundaries help you operate and maintain capacity so that you keep your energy top notch so that you keep going. Because what happens is when we operate beyond our capacity and force ourselves and push ourselves to prove and perform and all that stuff, we burn out trying to keep up the capacity, but we're not meant to keep going. We're not an energizer bunny. We're not a battery. Even batteries need to be recharged. Even a superhero puts up their cape. Even a robot needs to be recharged, right? So if you think about it, if you're over capacity, your cup is on empty, your tank is on empty, your energy is on empty. And what do you think happens to people whose capacity has run out? These are people that are burnt out. They hate their lives, they hate their jobs, they complain, they're negative about everything. Their relationships are suffering. Marriages are probably in the negative tank. So there went the spiciness, right? By the way, a dry, boring marriage is not a fun marriage. It's got to be spicy, fun, sexy. Chase your spouse around the house naked. Okay, enjoy each other for crying out loud. Put each other first. That is how you keep your tank full. Because if you are operating on empty, you aren't serving anybody and you're not serving yourself. I'm going to say something that also might trigger you. You ready? Because it did my last client, but in the best way possible. I'm going to say two things. First thing is this. You do not serve anyone when your capacity is on empty, when your tank is on empty, when your cup is on empty, when you are on dry, overloaded, frazzled, burnt out. You can't operate at your best. You can't even function at a capacity that your mind is sharp or your body is energized. Second thing is you go first, not your job, not your kids, not your spouse. You've got to put your spouse, yes, right? There's a whole misconception that the church, I'm just going to say, there's a misconception out there, okay? That's like God, spouse, job, or family, then job. And it's like, no. Job is at the very end of that list. God is already the foundation. You have to be at the top. Otherwise, your capacity is going to run out. Your cup goes first. You go first. Now I got goosebumps when I said that. And I'm just making sure that I'm tapping into, because every time I do these episodes, I ask the Holy Spirit to guide my words, to make sure that my words line up, that these aren't my own words. But in my experience, I put myself first. My quiet time My family has learned mom's quiet time, and my husband has also learned that my quiet time, even though it's a little bit long, it has to be, I have to have that time because I can't give what I don't have. Meaning, if my cup is on empty, it's not fair to my husband, it's not fair to my kids, it's also not fair to my job if I show up as a disgruntled, you know, person, right? It's not fair to people around me if I'm not at my full capacity. But I do it for myself first and foremost. And it doesn't mean I'm putting God last. It doesn't mean that he's on the low end of the totem pole. It just means that that's what I've learned. Plus, it's been a healing journey for me because growing up in foster care, I didn't have that luxury of putting myself first. I was forced to put myself last. I was in survival my whole life up until very recently. Survival mode is no place to be either. It drains us and it also drains people around you. We have got to stop sacrificing ourselves at the expense of earning a buck. We have got to stop sacrificing our families, operating in low capacity, low energy, chasing the dollar, chasing the business, chasing the glitter. Go and notice I said chasing. What is that? An exhaustive action word. If all we're doing is taking action, but we're not giving ourselves time to replenish our capacity, we have no capacity left. We are operating then in burnout, self-sabotage, survival. Do you want to know one of the top things that actually is like nails on a chalkboard to me? Is when I ask people, like, hey, how's it going? And they say, oh, I'm just surviving. It's like, back the heck up. Why are you just surviving? Why are you on survival mode, girl? Or yo, sir, bro? Survival mode is a dangerous place to stay. A lot of people also want to quit on their lives staying in survival mode, but I'm here to tell you something. When you operate in a capacity where you know you're not being selfish by putting yourself first, by putting your cup first, you're not selfish if you put yourself at the top of your list every single day. You are not selfish by putting yourself on your schedule. When is your lunch break, by the way? If you are a business owner, do you have a lunch break? Do you schedule time for yourself or is it all just business? Your capacity is going to wear thin. Something else that also depletes our capacity, and I don't mean deplete in like a negative stance, is let's say you get a diagnosis like I've gotten, right? Every single day I have capacity. But right now, because I was given a diagnosis of a viral infection, my capacity is very limited, meaning my energy level is also very limited. And I cannot force myself to have to to have what I don't have to give, which means I have had to learn, and I'm still learning because I was just given this diagnosis a few months ago, like 3 or 4 months ago, as of today, March 2nd, 2026. But my capacity is at a place where I am learning how to operate within the capacity that I have, but I've also had to relearn how to appreciate my capacity. I've had to learn how to operate in flow. I've had to learn how to not beat myself up or blame myself because I didn't cause this upon myself. I used to hold myself in contempt for not feeling well because there are people in my life that have bypassed and like blamed. There's an underlying message in a lot of spaces and communities that blame people for how they feel, and then they do the spiritually bypassing and use this. It's like, stop it. Stop it. You didn't cause this upon yourself. Now I will say there are things that diagnosis we get that are caused by things like stress, trauma, you know. So outside circumstances can play a role as to why we get a diagnosis. Like, for example, what I was diagnosed with I believe, and I believe in what I have been researching, Epstein-Barr virus, followed by mono. It is also, I believe, caused because of trauma. Now, I was put in the foster care system before I was 1 year old. I was also in my birth parents' home who chose alcohol as an infant. So, yeah. So they are the reason why I ended up in foster care. But they also couldn't let me go. They couldn't let us go. I don't know what their problem was, but it's like, gosh, let me go already. You guys screwed up. You don't get your rights back. You chose something else. So now I get to pay the price of your decisions and your actions, but I didn't cause any of the diagnoses that I have received. I didn't do that to myself. It was years of trauma. But have I been learning the tools to acclimate and reclaim parts of myself? You betcha. Another thing is I've had to learn how to be absolutely gracious and give myself more compassion over myself because I was taught that I am to blame for outside circumstances. And it's like bullshit. I am not responsible for your choices. I was just born. Thank you. Thank you for bringing me into the world. And also, your choices, mom and dad, birth parents, also are what costed me my health. It also costed me my my mindset, also costed me my identity and self-worth, a lot of things, but I didn't use that as a reason to keep myself in a state of dysfunction and chaos. Oh, no, no, no. I have been utilizing tools to be healed, to get free. That includes therapy, coaching, mentorship, having a great community of amazing friends and all kinds of stuff, having a vision and rewiring my subconscious, reframing my thoughts. And I'm telling you, it's been hard freaking work. It's excruciating, it's grueling, and there are days where I'm just wiped out and all I can do is lay down like I did all weekend. It was my weekend off, thank God. My energy is replenished, my capacity is replenished, and also I know that today I need to pace myself because I go back to work today, right? And I have to pace myself so that my energy doesn't get fully depleted before my shift is over at my job. So capacity is the thing that allows us to keep going without force, without push, without proving, without performing. It helps us to realize that we are not a project. Capacity allows us to see that we are worthy. Capacity helps us create non-negotiables every single freaking day, which are boundaries. Boundaries protect our capacity, preserve our capacity, gives us permission to open up, to receive breakthrough. And if you're in a season of where your capacity is at a very low minimum, it's okay. It's okay. You have permission to breathe again and just be. Have fun. You're not a freaking project. Did you know that this year, just about a week and a half ago, about a week ago, I realized I'm not a project. And I'm going to be 48. Yeah, I know I don't sound like it. I just aged myself. But, capacity allows me to connect with the most amazing parts of myself and stop rejecting myself. Capacity doesn't mean we operate in the bare minimum. It means we learn how to acclimate in the capacity that we have without forcing ourselves to go over capacity. Now, if you are a business owner and a career professional, this applies to you the most. It applies to you the most because those two places are where I see people allowing their capacity to become overused. And I see people showing up when they're not well, forcing themselves, pushing, and it's like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Or they're chasing the money, chasing the glitter, whatever it is. And it's like, we can't do that. In a job, I will say this. There are some corporate has a I'll just say this. Corporate has a unspoken and also loudly spoken messaging to people that say you are less than if you don't show up sick. You are less than if you don't over deliver here. It's like an expectation that's placed on people. Under promise, over deliver. I have watched people, coworkers in every job I've had a nervous breakdown because their capacity is overrun and they don't have the boundaries set in place where their capacity is is at an even place. They say yes to everything. They don't know how to say no. They're afraid of disappointing their boss. And it's like, where in the hell did that come from? What Who taught us that? It I'm going to start closing with this. It isn't until we start challenging and questioning this kind of stuff in our lives, because we can't get our energy back. We can't get our capacity back until we challenge the norm, till we start asking ourselves, why am I doing that? What's the point? What's the purpose? Where did this come from? This is where a really good therapist can help you. I'm telling you, doing stuff on your own isn't going to help you. It's just not. So, capacity, your cup is not meant to run on empty. And even if, I want you to put your hand on your heart, even if you are operating at a half, I could cry when I say this, but I'm just going to say it. Even if all you can operate today on is a half of a cup, instead of trying to force a full cup, that's your capacity and it's okay. Give yourself grace already. Stop beating yourself up for what you didn't know or how far you think you should be. Your capacity is your capacity and yours alone. No one else gets to dictate to you your capacity in any shape or fashion. That's it. You get to dictate your capacity every single day. That includes you've got to have strong boundaries and you've got to have a strong non-negotiable every single day of your life. So with that, that concludes this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for making my dream happen. Thank you for choosing to listen to my voice. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And get out there. I just want you to know I'm cheering you on. And hey, if what I've shared with you today is new or it sounds foreign, it's okay. It did to me at first too, until I started implementing the very things that I'm teaching. It's also been a way that I've been able to heal from the proving and performing energy, because it's like, where is that coming from? So it is a year of miracles. It is a season of breakthrough. It is a season of giving yourself permission to receive so your capacity can stay at top notch, so you can keep going without force, without performance, without burning out. Thank you so much for being here. I love you, and stay tuned for the next